All right, guys, it's a time for another exciting episode of the Space Bros Show. That's right, the show that brings you all the good information about our favorite space game of all time, Star Citizen. And tonight, joining me on the show will be two of my favorite bros out there. It is Mr. Moonshiners, of course, and Mr. Nighthawk Zale will be here as well. So please help me welcome them to the show. Guys, how are you doing tonight?
What is going on, Mitauchi? How you doing? I'm doing great.
Yep. Everybody's still hyped. Everybody's still that. The stories I have heard that we can tell both on and off the air are vast. So I think the memoirs from these gentlemen will be insane to read years down the road when nobody gets in trouble. But it's been a fun ride for us. Yeah, he's.
I don't remember a lot.
Now you're using Moonshiner's excuse. I don't know. Was it a dream?
Though. It's true. There was so much alcohol had at all of these after parties and Bar Citizens. I don't remember a whole lot.
Right.
There was just so much going on at any given point during the weekend.
Yeah.
It's hard to keep everything in order, let alone in place.
Well, and one thing I'd like to compliment all you guys on out there, as somebody who's been watching for what we could see from the interwebs, from the outside in, we stayed very connected with everybody on Periscope, on everything. I mean, you could go all over the place and kind of get a glimpse of what's happening play by play out there. Whether it should have been televised or not might be another whole avenue, but still, it was there was so much good footage.
They should have stopped me, man. They should have stopped me at the Arsenal, man. I regret every decision I ever made. I'm so sorry. All right. To all the everybody there.
As long as your mom can forgive you, that's the most important thing, really. That's the way it works. So, all right. So we're gonna dive in. I know it's been rehashed a lot, but we're gonna dive into the whole presentation. We're not gonna play through the entire thing or anything like that, but we're gonna kind of talk about different aspects that we saw, some of the development, get your guys' opinions, obviously, on what it was like there. Because obviously, one thing I've noticed from the perception of what we saw, it was a little different from what those people reacting online felt for certain aspects to the people actually in the audience. Because obviously, you guys have the whole group and everybody's there, and it's a little bit different feeling, I think, from somebody by themselves sitting at home watching it versus everybody that has more of that context right there in front of not only the devs, but all the other, Star Citizens and stuff like that. So I think that was thing. But
there was definitely an electricity in the air, and everyone could feel it.
How could there not be, though? I mean, in that type of environment, that's a really awesome group together to get with and all that. So.
And it's so rare to come together in a singular group of such a large size, because we were almost 700 strong in that venue, and all 700 people have that deep-rooted passion and desire and dream of what Star Citizen currently is and what it is yet to become. And it became such a tangible thing, because here over the internet, I mean, we're faces and we're words in the chat, and we're an everyday aspect of our lives, but you can walk away from it at any moment and it immediately leaves your mind. But when you're there and you're actually looking face to face at the person that you've been chatting with for so long, when you're throwing your arms around them and giving them a real heartfelt hug, and just it's so good to see you.
Yeah.
It feeds everything. It feeds everything.
It's awesome. That's a great way to describe it, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. So it's and I was so torn by the whole situation, because obviously part of me really wanted to be able to go. Part of me knew I had to be here for a couple different family things I had to deal with, but also just for the stream and all the goals we were trying to do and all that stuff. So I felt both ways, but I mean, you guys did a great job, through obviously Toy Grubbin, our main moderator over here, who was so kind to call in all the time and kind of give us an update what was going on. We got to interface with some of you guys, say hi and stuff when you're out there and all that. It was really fun from that aspect. I have to say,
that was a lot of fun, from someone being there on the ground for the event and having the opportunity to communicate directly with you. It really made your presence felt despite your not physically being there.
And,
like, it was a lot of fun because you weren't the only one doing it.
Everybody kept saying, like, you should be here. And I'm like, I know.
Yeah.
But it was like,
really
it was
fun.
like people in chat kept going, we had at some points, like, especially when you guys do after parties, we had like 500 to 700 people in chat. And they're like, but you can't. We wouldn't be able to watch anything if you were there. And I'm like, you know, I was like, I still would have won if I could have, but I'm like, sorry, we would have just had to rotate periscopes, but I would have won if I could have. So,
yeah,
a lot of periscope.
I feel like the periscope was definitely like a thing. Like I felt like I had to do, just because again, you're there for like all you know, and like we're streamers and stuff like that. We're so connected with our community. It's like, you know, how do I go there and not like show off something? Like I didn't take like a lot of video, but like everything I tried to do live, I got my fucking selfie stick and I'm walking around doing this stupid thing, looking like an idiot.
Shots, Moon. You get some of the best shots at selfie stick because you got all these cool perspectives and it looks so good. And we were showing those online and stuff. I'm like, it really connected everybody there, and it brought the hype. So I think no matter, you know, even if I go to any future events, I'm gonna have to find a way to maintain that connection in the audience, because I mean those are our bros, our others, our other Star Citizens and stuff
Connecting
that
with
like
people on
really
Twitter.
want to be there. So
however
many
we can do
connects
it
and stuff. So definitely I'm going to be hopefully hitting a couple Bar Citizens this next year too, and doing some of that stuff Rango. So it's going to be fun.
Down.
Yep, for sure. But let's get into this. We'll dive into this a little bit, and I don't have a lot of screens on some of this stuff, but we'll switch over to here. And I know it's hard to see, guys, anyway, because this is literally a screenshot out of a video. But this is where they were talking about Spectrum, as far as that, and we now know as what. I, not to toot my own horn, but I said when the whole presentation felt disjointed, that it was lacking something, and we all were a little frustrated. We didn't see, you know, Star Marine or Squadron 42. They had planned to show, you know, the huge section of Squadron 42, and it got pulled last minute because it just couldn't quite do it, and they were just as disappointed as we were. So it wasn't anything shady or anything. So they had to stretch this part out, obviously, to kind of fill. But you know what? For all the complaints I heard from people, not you guys, but some of the other people about how long and drab the whole Spectrum thing was, it's so exciting to me to finally have like the premise of some good communication, to revamp the forums, in-game voice, all these other aspects that Spectrum is going to bring to the table as it rolls out. It's really exciting, actually. I mean, you know, I think people can't let what didn't happen and CitizenCon overshadow what did or what was shown, because there's so much good shit here. It's really good.
Right.
So, I don't know. Did you guys? I know you guys didn't catch everything, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but what do you think of the Spectrum aspects? Was there any one piece of what they showed, because there's a library of stuff, that really stood out for you? Okay, what do you got first?
Hold on. Go. I love you know, we have white backgrounds on the website. I mean, totally great. I mean, that's so awesome. That's what I totally need to see.
As I sit here looking at everything in my dark mode, like oh man, white backgrounds. It makes it so easy and legible to see, and burns your corneas right out of your head. It's amazing. Thank you so much for doing that. Yeah.
No, but go on.
So I actually was able to watch this portion of the presentation. We didn't have any work going.
Cool.
And Nikki Backrell and I were standing at the end of one of the bars watching from the corner. And there were moments of excitement throughout, because we're seeing some of these old stretch goals coming back and resurfacing after so long, where we're talking about organizations and the full platform that represents organizations and the concept behind them, which is connecting people. And we're seeing how they're simplifying the forums and allowing for more user-controlled forum capabilities. On top of the text-based stuff, they're finally bringing us some kind of in-game voice. And it's not just in-game; it's on the website too. It's being set up in a format that's going to allow for mobile applications, and they've already got the official RSI authenticator out. So who's to say they don't just keep expanding on that application eventually until it becomes the main real-world app for whatever they've got for the future? I think it's going in the right direction, but Backrell and I both our one biggest issue with this whole Spectrum thing. Where's our fleet data? For those of us running organizations, like we want to be able to track what our fleet is as a whole and by every individual member, so that property management is taken care of accordingly. And that's not something that was mentioned. So I'm thinking, or hoping at least, that it's just going to kind of show up.
Yeah.
But that's a big deal.
Well, and I think some of those items like that they're going to have to address, because one thing early on in the project, I know Chris Roberts talked about releasing the API so we can make third-party software and like different apps that would tie into this type of stuff. But even though I don't know that that's off the table, I think really CIG is trying to make those tools already for us, and that's illustrated with like what Spectrum does. So if they're not going to be, and I'm not saying they won't release the API, but if they're not going to release the API at the earlier stages as we start to go towards launch of the game, I would encourage them to consider those options inside these applications so we have that kind of support, because you're going to need that type of communication and stuff. I know in EVE Online, people made different apps like Fleet Up and stuff, and that helped deal with our fleet metrics and all those things. It would be so nice if they're going to this type of length to make Spectrum to include those aspects so we don't have to run a bunch of different third-party apps. I'd be totally cool with that. So hopefully we'll see that in the not too distant future. That would be good. So
really quickly, I want to address chat, because they keep saying, "Oh, wasn't it mentioned in RTV? Wasn't it?" Yes, it was mentioned in RTV, but I'm only speaking specifically to Sunday, the day of the presentation, and what was given to us through the course of the presentation. That was just our initial reaction. Well, where's all the information on fleet data? But like today's ATV, they've doubled back. They've explained what has happened, where it's come from, where it's going, and what exactly is involved and planned out to be taken care of over the long term. So yes, I do know that stuff has shown up. I was just talking about then, in that moment.
In that moment, in that perception. Because as many people who are at home with me watching the presentation, we really enjoyed the demo. We enjoyed the different aspects of what we saw, but my initial reaction was a little bit of disappointment. I wasn't angry, but I was disappointed with what we saw. There was a lot of things like, wow, this didn't address this. We didn't see Star Marine. We didn't see Squadron 42. We didn't see these things.
Right.
And I think it was really, looking back on it, I think it was smart of them not to come out ahead of time and say, hey, you aren't going to see it. It's better to get us there to the chair, sit down, explain why, and then just move forward with the awesome. I think that was probably the best thing they did.
Absolutely.
And I think by them coming out with this ATV, I think it kind of, I won't say covers their butt, but it makes for us, the backers, the people that had that reasonable disappointment, I think it made me feel a million times better. Even though it didn't, fix the situation, it lets you know how important and how much time they spent trying to make it happen. Not only for us, but for themselves. And so it's not like something that was like, fuck it, we're good enough, let's go. It was something they really put the effort and consideration into doing, and they just couldn't bring it together in time, unfortunately. And it was really a positive video. So if you haven't checked out the ATV yet, after this show, obviously not during it, please watch that, because it's a really good video. It's really
great.
It's really great.
It's part of this like transparency that you don't really often see in like a lot of games, and especially, we get something twice a week. We get so much information going on with like what's going on in the game. The transparency in this video of just, this is what happened. These were our blockers. This is our frustration of everything leading up into the day. And you know what? It totally was like, I'm sorry. I gave you any kind of bullshit on Monday and Tuesday about my disappointment, because I get it, man. This is their baby. This is something that like they're working on so hard and stressing the hell out of these guys. These guys aren't getting any sleep, and like you totally freaking got it. I mean,
I was gonna say, to expand on that, Moon. I mean, the honesty. I mean, right there. This is one of those type of videos that's almost shot like what I'd see in a documentary about hiccups that happen on a game that's been long released. This is like the extra special edition, like on a movie or something, like all the shit that went wrong. And they're being that honest and forthcoming with you right now when it actually matters. Yep. I mean, people could say, F this, I'm out of here, whatever, and they're just coming correct. Yep. And that speaks so much to the integrity of this developer as CIG for this game, because they know who we are, they relate to us, and then it's also just to come forthright and be like, dude, this is exactly what happened last week. Not last year, not we've already sold 42 million copies of whatever movie or game or whatever we've done. They're telling you right now, this is exactly the deal. And they're showing you all the bad stuff, the frustration, the hard work, all those elements, and then to not, like Chris put it, not to quite cross the end zone to make it happen was so discouraging to them. But still, just to come out and say and share that with us at that thing makes me feel that much closer to them as a company, I think. So it's really cool. So, but I won't overly harp on it. But I think that one video, that 20 minutes, was so much more important to me than anything I saw in the presentation, personally. Just for me. So to move on this, I mean, obviously some of the highlights of the Spectrum and whatnot they just talked about some of the game integrations, and and I know Nighthawk just spoke about some things he'd like to see in there, but some of the stuff they were already thinking about is great. Party management, really important thing. Something where you can actually group up and plan that out with your friends before you're even able to log into the game. Amazing. Location-aware lobbies, very important, because then you know where the people are inside your network and stuff. Like if they're over at Polarisar, or if they're a system or two over, or where they're at, you can kind of plan those things out even remotely. All those aspects are right there, and overlay integration. So they're making it all tied into the game to so many levels that I think it's going to be really positive. Again, it's one of these things that we probably won't see fully fleshed out till middle of next year. We're going to see small iterations, but we won't see anything major on it until then. But I look forward to hearing more about Spectrum, just not at a half-hour length.
Yeah.
So, and here, just like we were talking about, the thing that was missing from the Element Squadron 42, but they did give details of what we're going to see in Squadron 42 when it gets released. I mean, and this is a robust game. This is not a small thing. I mean, if you look at it, and the thing that threw me, I'll just point out right in the beginning that I was like, AI, full systematic, 24-hour schedules. Because, I mean, I know we talked about this in the persistent universe, but in the game, like, they're going to have, like, the same AI subroutines where they're going to go around and they have routines. If you play the game for 24 hours straight, saying do a charity event as a streamer, these guys are going to have jobs they're doing. Well, as long as the game's on, they're just going to be rotating, doing their personal routines and stuff like that. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's insane.
But I wouldn't expect anything less of them. I mean, they set up a goal and they say, I want the AI to do this.
Yeah.
And they're not going to waste their time setting up a foundational AI that they're then going to abandon in order to work on the final format. They're just going to build straight to the final format like they do with everything else up to this point. So it makes a lot of sense that because Squadron 42 is coming out before Star Citizen, they're going to try and get the AI out as quickly as possible to that standard. So when they go to the scale of Star Citizen and have so many NPCs, they know they can pull it off.
Yeah.
Didn't they say in the video that it's something like 70 characters at once that they were going to show off during the course of that Squadron 42 thing? Yep. So that's just 70 that they're trying to have running at one time. And then if you stop and think that in Star Citizen, the running living universe of Star Citizen, it's going to be 10-1 NPCs against players. So that's a huge population.
Yeah. It's pretty impressive. I mean, and again, I know they set this as a goal for the PU, but I guess it just didn't proceed to me that they would do it in the single-player campaign as well. It was insane. So I really look forward to this. It's going to be so neat a game. I mean, we've talked about it many times before. So many pages of dialogue. I mean, it's so much more robust than any of the other things I've seen from like a single-player game. That's actually one of three parts. It's going to be 3 iterations and stuff. So I can't wait to see it and then what comes after. So that's going to be really impressive.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Okay, and then they talked about the technical hurdles, and this is some of the stuff, if you watch the ATV, you see it. I mean, you see they identify several things on the video where it's like some of the animations aren't right, some of the integrations aren't there, and there's just, some of the main problems they're having, especially with AI. Not really it's an issue, they just haven't evolved it to the level where they want it at yet. So they don't want to have you watch it for the first time and see a robot walking across the screen, stop, pivot, kind of like what we saw a little bit inside the Homestead demo, right? When they were walking the guys, you see some of the guys that they're just brand new AI, and they like turn and like kind of clockwork it across the thing.
Yeah.
They want to show something that's going to be a full-fledged game. A lot more subsumption. So. And then they give the status report or like where it is. So everything's gray box. They're doing the polishes and all that stuff. Again, Squadron 42. I mean, it sounds like if they're that close to having the demo where they're a matter of days away, I would expect to see that demo or something like it before the end of this year still. I think they'll surprise us maybe. I know Chris mentioned maybe the holiday or whatever thing. I think they'll still take the time to show this demo that they've worked so hard on for Squadron 42.
Don't we still have one more live stream before the end of the year?
They do one. It's not a major usually. Usually it's in tangent with the anniversary sale, I thought, or something like that. Don't they do... I can't remember. I know they did one last year, and it was like a special, but I can't remember exactly what it was. It didn't stand out to me because it was more just an augment or like a end of the year wrap, and then lead in the anniversary sale, I thought.
Right. I just think that if they were as close as they seem to be, just missing it by days, then it gives them extra time to take it past the point of this is good enough to show, and they can work on polish for the next month and try to get it up to par so they can do it for the last live stream of the year, because that would be a great way to kind of usher in the end of the year and bring in the start of the new year, because we've got the procedural Planet stuff getting ready to come out. We've got 2.6 with introduction of Star Marine. There's a ton of stuff that's going to be dropping back to back to back.
Absolutely.
Not necessarily to say a week after each other, but there's a lot coming.
Yeah, it'll get.
You're saying I'm not getting my Bonding Merchantman immediately after 3.0? No.
That's not
Absolutely.
what I'm saying. I think it's coming tomorrow. I think if you just keep thinking it's tomorrow, you'll be all right. no matter what.
They want
So, again, then we went into the roadmap, and this is something I wanted to dive a little more into and get your guys' impressions as well. I don't know how into 2.6 you guys are anticipating. I know I'm real heavy into shooters. I like shooters. I know on the other side of the ball, when we talked to McKetton, he is not for various reasons. I don't know where you stand, Nighthawk, if you like shooter games, or if you're more in the pilot seat. So
for me, I'm kind of on a fence. I like playing more of like the sci-fi shooters or the really like the Borderlands style cartoony cell shaded stuff. Yep. When it comes to things like Arma, I did it in real life. I don't really want to relive it in a video game. Yeah. So I tend to stay away from that stuff. But I'm really looking forward to the FPS in Star Citizen. That's actually part of the reason why I haven't touched it really up to this point. I don't want to build myself up on something that's not to their standard and then have Star Marine come out, which is their standard, and have to say, well, what the hell, because this, now that. So I'm just patiently waiting, and I'm going to learn from the bottom and work my way up.
Well, I can tell you what you're missing out on. Pretend you have the cheapest automatic rifles that always jam every time you try to use them, and that's what it is right now. So that's where it's like, oh, let me reload it again. Oh, let me do it again. You clear the slide, clear it again, reload mag, and it's
just make sure you don't run out of gunpowder.
Oh my gosh, it's something else. But it's I still have fun doing it every day, but it is something else. I think it's for the people who wrote. I read on a Reddit thread for whoever the MFer that wrote, hey, we should make the guns hyper realistic where they jam. F you, buddy. They jam all the time now, and it drives
They're future
me
guns.
shit.
They shouldn't be jamming in 2946.
No jamming. Yep, that's right.
No
And I'm always
baseball.
out there with the finger guns that time because the gun disappears, and you'll see me out there like this shooting bullets on my fingers. So that's it's always interesting.
I kind of like the jamming. I mean, no, I don't like how much it's doing it. I'm not okay with that. But I like the idea of having some form of jamming.
Zero jamming. I will be happy after all these months of jamming Zero jamming. I'll feel like I upgraded my weapon to something better.
You just got jammed.
You get Spaceballs little thing. You've been jammed. All right. Let's see. So anyway, on the 2.6 progress, they said there's going to be some additional Star Marine features. I'm not even sure what the original features were now, but there's going to be some additional ones, which is cool. They're going to have a updated Arena Commander in 2.6. We knew that. They're going to extend the content of the Crusader map. And I didn't know they were doing that in this build. I thought we were only getting the module modifications, and then he said that they're going to do something with the Crusader map a little bit. And I was like, that's kind of cool. But which is needed. It is needed, but isn't this prior to their netcode updates?
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's kind of weird. I didn't think they'd try to expand anything in the PU until they had netcode. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Lobby and leaderboards totally refactored. I'm not a leaderboard whore because I'm the guy when I play FPS. I'm a sacrifice myself for the objective. I always play objective gameplay. So like my KDR is usually like Mitauchi has died 5 billion times and killed like 6 people, but he wins a lot. That's usually the way my stats always look, because I'm all about the team play, and I'll be a meat shield. I don't care. It's all good with that. Flight model rebalanced. I'm really looking forward. I know there's been like I won't say a controversy, but a lot of mixed feelings about the speed nerf, as they call it so strongly. I tend to call it the speed adjustment, but I'm excited to get my hands on it because I can't really judge it until I have tried it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And if all the other ships are just the same, who flipping cares? Because it's not like the M50 is all of a sudden going to be half the speed of a Connie. They're all getting lowered down. So I think relatively it should still feel good. And people said, well, what about your distance to travel? I'm like, do you really fly in like sub speeds like SCM? Is that your travel speed? Or do you use quantum to get there or cruise? And then, so I think it's going to be good and healthy. So I'm looking forward to trying it out and see what's up with that.
It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. What do you guys think about the music logic system? They've really been proud of that. Like, what's your opinions on it?
I'm eager to see how that actually works in game. I know they tried that in a couple other games recently, and it worked to a moderate degree, but then again, they didn't really do anything to make it a complicated system that really took into account a lot of variables in the same way that Star Citizen is trying to do it. Right. So I think it's going to be a very fun and unique experience, but I think Pedro Camacho might need a bit of help to make all the music, because I can't imagine them recycling the same track from planet to planet, solar system to solar system when it comes to combat versus when it comes to exploration, so on and so forth.
You're saying, yeah.
They should talk to that Wikipedia guy. Get somewhere.
That's what I'm thinking. That'd be great. Reach out. Yeah. Or, even if they don't, they did promise the ability to broadcast within the game. So you could always start your own radio station.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
The elements that I don't know if they've, and I'm sure they've thought of it, but if you've played a single player game that has that music, that adjusts to the environment and all that stuff, I've always used it as a cheat. Like, if I didn't know I was being attacked and the music pumps up, I'm like, hey, I better start looking around. Somebody's getting attacked. So I'm hoping that influence doesn't happen, like off the jump. I don't want Moonshiner to come up behind me and before he shoots me, or he's going to shoot me, and the music comes up so that I can spin around and cap him in the face. I don't want it to get that heads up. You know what I mean?
Right.
Or maybe you're being shot from afar.
You're not going to be listening to the music. I know what you listen. You're going to be listening to some like Backstreet Boys, like and you're stuff like that, like shooting people. You're not even going to recognize like the tone change.
I do. I have the Backstreet Boys a bumping all the time, and it's like and then I start doing the dance moves on the floor, and then spin around, and shoot you. Yeah. No, but you know what I mean. It's like the music stuff. I just don't want it to influence any of that, because if you're being sniped at in the game, and you don't see like the round come by you, like you didn't know you were sniped at and you don't react. But if like the music pumps up, like what happened? It's like it's like boom, 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 boom. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get fucked up if I don't.
We're engaging.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how that reacts and stuff. And additionally to that, besides the cheat aspect, I hope I remember to turn the music on. Because I, like Moonshiner pointed out, I turn the game music off almost 95% of the time. Because, you know,
Yeah.
Backstreet's #1. We got to do that. That's just
That's
how
right.
it rolls.
They're back.
They're back. There we go. I think my wife used to listen to them too. Right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, I don't know. She's not allowed to touch the radio while I'm in the car. Because we fight over it. Arena Commander. New virtual ship customization interface, which I'm excited about. I mean, we saw a little teaser of that, right, in the previous ATVs and stuff.
Yep.
So that's cool. New Pirate Storm Arena. That'll be interesting.
Arena.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
I wonder
feel
what
like I'm
that's
watching this for
about.
the first time.
Yeah. Well, it probably is.
It is. Again, remember, I come on this show to learn stuff.
I know.
Things that like I've seen live, seen happen.
Well,
It's like
you
I
know,
just come
we
on
should
here,
just
like,
recall
to-
it like
Mitauchi
Space Pro Show, Moonshiner live reaction video.
Yeah, basically,
His first time.
basically, that's what it
It's
is.
like,
That's what
because
it
he'll be
is.
sitting
It's
there,
like,
he'll
oh,
be
really? Tell me
go
more.
like, yeah, he'll be like, oh, that's happening. It's like, yeah.
I was here for this.
Exactly. He was like on site. I'm like remotely watching it. He was right
I
there.
remember.
Oh, persistent missiles. I don't even know what that means.
Persistent.
Neither do I.
I don't. and I want to-
Wait. Doesn't that mean like you go into an arena commander match, you shoot all your missiles out at once, and then like you die, you blow up, you don't respawn with all your missiles. If you shot all your missiles at the beginning of the match, holding back on, because they were like, yeah, we don't want people, you know, crashing their ship into a rock and respawning with a whole new set of missiles. So if you go in there with if you go in there with 8 missiles, you leave there with 8.
I think we should twist it to make it Eric's nightmare, where it's like, no, it's just the whole arena is constantly has missiles flying around. They're persistent because it drive him crazy. It's like, no, I can
Even
never
after they
play
hit,
that.
they just keep flying.
They just keep going. They're just like punching holes through your hole, and it's like persistent missiles. I do like the fact you're gonna have reload, but like even like Chris Roberts pointed out, the potential issue with that. Can you imagine trying to reload your missiles in a Ring Commander? I'm like, unless they have a safe zone, like you can go off to your side. I'm like, there's no way you're gonna like land, reload missiles, and everybody's gonna be like, oh, well, don't touch him. He's reloading his missiles. That's okay. You know, I think that's gonna be a interesting mess. So you'd have to kind of plan that out.
Drop. I mean, again, because remember, Arena Commander is a game within a game.
Mm-hmm.
You're allowed to do more like fake things. So like,
drive through a circle or do something and reload. That'd be cool.
That will reload your ship, and because like they
Mario
talk,
Kart cubes.
Yes.
yeah, only because this is a game with inside of a game. It's not like a real thing. So like they said, you won't be able to do this in the universe. There's no fucking thing that you just like drive over and it picks up.
Yeah.
But in a render, that will you'll be able to do that. That's how like you may be able to.
Well, I mean, they already got the Mario Kart coin pickup noise, right? Like whenever you shoot somebody in the head, it's like ka-ting, like they did in the visual stabilization demo. Ka-ting. So yeah, I'm into that. But yeah, that makes sense because it is a simulator, and that would be fine because I view Arena Commander as a sport, just like Sata Ball will be, or just like what the Star Marine will be. It's a sport. Hopefully, be able to be watched in game eventually and do all that stuff. Full scoring rebalancing, that's desperately needed because how many times is like the a-hole in front of you about to eject out of his ship so he could bag points and then you don't get any kills. So and then most ships now available for use in private matches, so that's really cool. Star Marine,
is my mic going out?
it is going in and out a little bit.
It chops a bit.
In and out.
Oh, great, excellent, love it, fantastic. I'll turn off Discord.
Kill Discord, yeah, because it'll fight for you. It'll be like, no, my microphone. So the Star Marine, we got some good details, like just off the slide. I mean, I wish I would have saw a little bit, but this is really cool. I was so concerned that they'd be like, here's Star Marine, it's 4v4, that's all we're bringing right now, good luck. And I was like, I don't want to play Splinter Cell Star Marine. I want to play like Versus. So I was hoping 8v8, but they brought the best of both worlds. They got a 4v4, right? So you have 8 players, and then they got a 12v12. So you got a little bit bigger map too. So that way you have a 24 and an 8-man map. And they're doing my 2 favorite ones, Deathmatch and Control, which is a variance of domination where you hold certain positions and the enemy tries to take those positions.
Right.
So it's objective gameplay. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
More armor, weapons, tac visor, all that stuff. So I'm so excited for this, and I want it to happen right now, and I know it can't, but I'm hoping, hopefully by the early November at the latest, we'll be either playing this or it'll be fully in testing to where the community's testing it, and we'll be able to see a little bit more about this. So
Where you can smell it roasting on the spit from the other side of the backyard
if
fence.
I'm watching other citizens even play it or whatever, or I'm able to jump in and play it, I will be more satisfied than I could ever, express, because I've been waiting for this for literally over a year and a half now.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I think that the Station Damien, the 4v4, is that original 0G Seda Ball globular arena that they had concepted out. I don't know if you guys remember it. It looked like a space station that could be flown from location to location.
Okay.
And it's just like a glass globe. And you're supposed to use those electro grappling hooks to get across the field.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
I think that's what Station Damien is.
That'd be cool. Huh. That'd be neat.
Station Ender.
Yeah, right.
Ender's Game Ball. Just adding words so that way it's not the same thing.
It's not Ender's Game. It's Sada Ball.
It's
they're not the same.
Ender Sada Ball game.
Can you guys hear me now? By the way, am I still breaking up? I
No,
just
you're
want
good
to
right
sing
now.
a ballad and kind of continue talking. Okay, great. Turned off everything.
There we go. Sweet. All right, and then we talked about 3.0. It's highly anticipated. I ask everybody every time we get to this subject, just out the gate. 3.0, when do you think we'll see it? Do you think it'll be this year, next year, 3 months into next year? What do you think, Nighthawk? Start with you.
Well, I mean, they still have to drop 2.6 on us.
Mm-hmm.
So I know they're plugging really hard away at it. And the stuff that I was allowed to see in the studio when I was there for meetings prior to the event and when I was there for the tour the Monday following, those guys are busting their ass to do everything they can to get this stuff out to us. They know that they want to try and have it. There's how did Ben call them? Internal deadlines, where they kind of have a date set as like a loose goal for end of this year, but whether or not they achieve it is really determined by Chris and his perception of whether or not the project at that state meets his standard for presentation. And it's the same exact reason why we didn't get to see the Squadron 42 demo this last weekend, because it wasn't to his standard. If it's not something that's going to properly represent the concept that he's trying to develop, that we're dreaming of and supporting in so many different ways, then in his mind, it's just not worth showing yet.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to say. I'm keeping hopeful, and I'd like to think that we'll have it, if nothing else, in time for the holidays, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, a while ago they did kind of like give a date, but I think we should probably go off of like what they're saying now is no dates. Let's maybe not put a date on it, and we can kind of like guesstimate to it. We're not CIG, but like when it's done, it's done.
Yeah.
I mean, this is probably further along than this can be a little bit more messier than a big presentation or a Squadron 42 could be. I mean, these big updates are always kind of messy sometimes. It's not at the fidelity drink that you'd want it at, but I think these patches can be like a little bit messier than presentation for like Squadron 42 could be, but it's probably best not to put a date on it.
Yeah. I'm gonna say my prediction will be PTU by the end of the year, but I don't think we'll have a live version.
Fingers crossed.
That's what I'd be okay with that, because this is going to be a huge PTU test. There's no way it's not. It's such an expansion of the game. I mean, if you think back to this year, like some of the longer PTU tests we've had, I mean, some of them were 8 weeks, literally, just because it just. I mean, that's what goes down. And with that in my mind, and thinking about what those additions are, even though they were simple in our perception, right? Like, a little more system, a little pirate station. It was all that back end 2.0. I couldn't even fathom, like, what the netcode build on top of planets, on top of system expansion. This could easily be an 8 to 12 week PTU test when they think it's ready. And, speaking of which, in that, even though we know there's speed testing going on with the avocados out there right now and stuff like that for that little patch, and we haven't received 2.6. 2.6 hasn't even touched the avocados yet. So all these things coming in tangent, even if they touched it, they'd touch it for a week at 2.6, puts you mid-November by the time we have a live version 2.6, and then even thinking about testing a 3.0. No way this goes live this year. There's no way. And I'm fine with that, but it's too big a build. I mean, if they rush this, it'd be chaotic and it'd be a nightmare. There's no way.
Yeah.
It's way too big. And we're the first time we're seeing the professions. If anything, to me, there's 2 or 3 different types of players to start Citizen. People that just want the persistent universe, people that just want Squadron 42, and people that are equally excited about both in many capacities. You'd alienate 2/3 of your market if this came out and it was just totally unplayable and all that stuff in any type of version. And the marketing behind this stuff would be huge. Even though it's a closed alpha test for everybody who's a backer, there's no way you'd recover from like a total failure in this. So this is going to be tested a lot. So next year. Maybe live by end of February, March. That's what
again. Hopefully sooner. Hopefully sooner.
Yeah, hopefully
sooner.
But,
but to be honest, if we get 2.6
stay
and
optimistic.
all these other
Stay
things,
optimistic, folks. It's all good.
I think there's so much content coming even before that. It's going to be amazing. I mean, I'm just thinking about it. I'm so excited. You know me, I don't play Arena Commander. With the speed adjustments, I'm really excited to play Arena Commander because I think I can do a little bit more keeping up and doing some stuff there than some of the guys that are a little more twitchy faster than I am with the flight mechanics. So I'm excited about that. There's so much stuff. 3.1.
Wow, here it is.
Here
it is, man.
This is where it gets really interesting to me, even beyond all that. Because, I mean,
what's up, man? Yep.
3.1 got mining, refining, processing. This is the... I mean, we know we talk about cargo, right? Cargo being the very beginning of a sustained economy where you have tangible stuff and all that stuff. This is where the player economy, I think, really erupts, is when you have this element in the game, because you have the ability to go out with tools and grab something that's not stealing from somebody else or buying it off the market, getting raw materials to generate revenue and make things.
Yep.
That is where it begins in my book, where it's really going to explode and be awesome. So,
agreed.
What do you guys think about the mining? I mean, I'm sure we've all read or at least remember some aspect of some of the mining documents and stuff. Is that something you think you're going to want to try in the game? What aspects of it do you like? Or, give us a little input on what you think about the mining and refining mechanics.
So I'm actually looking forward to the mining because it's one of those styles of gameplay that doesn't focus in any way, shape, or form on combat. We finally get to see Star Citizen for what it was meant to be, more of a fleshed out universe, less of a focused in Wing Commander militant experience. And for me personally, one of the things that really excites me about mining is the heavy demand for a dedicated sensor officer, someone who has to constantly and actively scan either the target that's being mined or the general vicinity to find the next ore target. And that alone is going to be so involved in terms of getting the mission objective completed that whether or not you're the person on the mining laser or you're the person who's EVA collecting all the loose ore and putting it into cargo, or however it's going to work, everyone is going to have a new job to do, and it's actually going to be a job. It's not just I'm in my spaceship and I don't want it to blow up, so let me pew you first.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I wish I got the Prospector. I really do. I mean, like, hopefully, like, I'm flying with like one of you guys. No, you know what? I'll fly with my friends, man.
Yeah.
This is like the great thing of like doing the multi-crew stuff. I don't have one. I just can't wait though. I mean, I don't have a prospector, but my friends do, and I'll fly with them.
Prospector's just one
so
piece
cool.
though, right? Because I mean, even in that, even though it's a single player ship to
There's
mine,
the big boy.
it's like it's only it's only one piece of the puzzle there, because it's like just like in EVE Online and stuff, we have to have somebody haul, you have to have somebody do all these different aspects as a team for this. And like what Nighthawk was talking about with the scanning, you know, I go back to think about when we were running some of the biggest mining fleets in the game inside EVE, and yes, I was a miner for the whole first year I played EVE Online. I didn't do any combat. I did all that, and I loved it. It was fun because it was a teamwork type thing. You can kick back with the bros, have a brew, sit at your desk, run 3 or 4 mining shifts, and it was always fun. In this aspect, it's all about efficiency, right? Because how much ore you can haul, how much materials you can gather. So when you're scanning, like he said, not only do you have to find the next thing, you have to find a timely manner. If I'm drilling here, I got to know the next one, so I can pop that laser drill off this thing, go to the next piece, and you want to be efficient getting the materials you're trying to gather. And in tangent with that, if you have a prospector, you're popping out those cans, right? You're popping out cans of material, and you're going to have somebody come out tractor beam, haul those back to the main hauler or wherever you have. So you might have Moon on a hauling ship just scooping and going, and we're all just bullshitting and listening to music out in the mining belt, and then Source comes in and starts killing everybody, and then we're all really mad at, you just don't know. So,
but that's where Star Citizen really comes to life, because that was the promise. Be what you want to be, do what you want to do, let the world live, and just be a part of that. So that's awesome.
It's going to be so cool.
Although I have to say, the one thing on this particular point in the presentation that struck my fancy, and I can't for the life of me understand why they would do this, is put the Origin 85X on the list of ships to drop with 3.1. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Origin 85X, but that is the short range craft, like the mini craft that comes with the 890 jump. It's kind of like a 2-seater version of the M50, a little bit slower, not quite as maneuverable, more of like a luxury cruiser. But I just thought it was odd that they would drop that in as one of the ships with 3.1.
And I noticed that as well. And
because it's going on concept soon, they need to make that money.
Well, no, I think if you even look back here, like we look at 3.0, right? I go back a slide. I think this is just, they're giving us a preview of what their current ship timeline is. I don't think it has anything to do with necessarily, hey, we're dropping this with these professions. I think some of the professions might be bound to what's being dropped as far as ships. Like, okay, we'll bring these professions online because these ships are ready. But I think some of these ships and stuff, like you pointed out, the Origin 85X, is just along their schedule of what artists are available when this might be done.
Right.
It's probably around that wheelhouse. I don't think, because like the Cutlass Red and Blue are being dropped here. Not really interdiction, escort, refueling, mining. I mean, cool ships, but really the rescue operations doesn't come till the next build, but the drop in the red.
Well, the blue certainly makes sense because you've already got the bounty system in place, and the escort further enhances that. And pretty soon after, they're going to bring in interdiction. So the blue makes a lot of sense. I don't remember seeing in any of the slides in this presentation whether or not they were bringing in basic medical professions of any form, even if it's just, I've got an EpiPen, let me stab you in the neck. But at least having an ambulance craft in-game sets up some kind of ground for medical to come in.
Where's the Cutlass Black?
Cutlass Black is it's technically it's already in the game, so I'm assuming that when the red and
but
the
isn't
blue
it being
come
redone?
Out,
isn't
it's
Josh
being,
Coons?
It's being redone right now.
Right,
working on it. So like
and
we're not getting
finished. The reason why I think they're holding off on the Cutlass Black rework coming out is because they want the Caterpillar to come out first. The Caterpillar is the ship that they are using to establish the Drake interplanetary look, design, feel. And so once that one comes out, then they're going to start dropping all the others. And I think that's why the red and blue are also coming out, because it's done. It's done.
Right.
You've already got the new one, so here you go. Take the other variants. Enjoy.
Yeah, I think there was some leaked pictures of some of the skeleton of the rework for the black, actually.
It'll be
that
okay.
they had out. I don't know where I saw those at. Might have been a Zealous thing. Zealous, if you had anything like that, you'd throw them in one of the chats for me or something like that, and I'll look at them a little bit. But I can't remember. I thought I saw somebody, and I don't know that they are for sure, so it could just be whatever spoiler made up crap. But still, yeah, I think they're farther along on that than we realize on that rework. And I think, though, it's one of those things on the reworks, they'll release them when they're done, when they're ready to give them to us. And some of those are good for them to hold, so that way, say they do need a funding goal in between, then it's not necessarily in line with the schedule. They'll be like, oh, we're going to go ahead and get this out there. And I think that's kind of one of those things. But I think the Cutlass is more always going to be a recovery type thing, where it's like they're trying to not only appease people, but fill a role that they wanted this ship to fill within their new ship metrics, right? Because they brought out the Buccaneer to facilitate one aspect of what the Cutlass was supposed to do, and now they're reworking the Cutlass to fulfill the other aspect of it. So it basically took two ships to make the Cutlass be what they kind of overpromised it to be in the beginning, because especially since they went to this role specific of ships, which I prefer. I like the idea that they have some ships that are universal that you can use to do a little bit of everything, but I like role-driven ships, so that way we have a reason to have a squad of us do something, rather than, hey, well, I don't need you. I have one ship that does everything, so if we just buy 5 of these ships, we're all good. No, that's garbage. That's like, to totally go off tangent, bringing up the Polaris Q&A Part 2. Did you guys read that today?
I did.
Oh, my God. I don't know, to be more frustrated with the community for asking certain questions or for the devs to pick them. It drives me crazy. Because there was somebody there asking about, can I modulate my Polaris and make it a full cargo vessel? Like, you're going to take an attack
I read that.
warship and you're going to make a cargo. And they were asking about, like, could we just fill, like, the hangar full of cargo? And they're like, yeah, but if you open the doors, it all float out. I mean, it's like, what are you doing? This drives me crazy.
Well, I mean, I kind of agree with you, but at the same time, I think a lot of citizens have become very comfortable with the concept of modular ships within Star Citizen. And from the beginning, that's never been the plan for every single ship in the game. There are some ships that the modularity system will never touch, no matter how good of a system it is. That's just because that's the aesthetic either of the manufacturer or the specific ship. And this is one of those. It's very, very focused on one style of gameplay, and that's a combat-based gameplay. And you can take it from different paths, like they were saying, but no, you're never going to turn a Polaris into a cargo hauler. This will never be your Serenity. It doesn't work.
No. Everybody wants to make everything Serenity. Well, it has 28 torpedoes on it. I mean, give me a break.
That's ridiculous. That's a whole lot of.
It has 28 torpedoes.
28.
I'm sorry.
Size.
Is the guy?
28 size 6 torpedoes. They're one size bigger than the Retaliators. So it is
storage space for 24 and 4 ready loaded.
Yep. And that includes, it also has like the 7 or 8 turrets on it and the missile bay. And
I think it's 8 turrets.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. It is a small cap killer, is what it's meant for. It kills those things. Yeah. And it already said it, like somebody was talking about bringing fighters against it. It says in there fighters don't do any damage to it unless it's a bomber. It's like, you know, it's like, it'll just like be like, oh, got some Super Hornets on me. Oh, well, get off me. I don't care. It's a cap. I mean, I don't know. People like want to turn a $625 or $750 ship into a cargo hauler. It's my whole E. Get over it.
Yo, there's my one ship on there, the Vanguard Harbinger. Oh my God.
Yep.
Not wait. Cannot freaking wait.
That's gonna be an awesome ship.
Sorry.
I honestly,
Sentinel.
Out of all these ships in there, I'm actually really excited for the Reclaimer. I know I'm a combat guy, but that Reclaimer is so sick. I'm like, I want to see it like eat ships and tear it apart. I'm like, oh, that'd be awesome. And even the Terrapin, just to see how it's actually going to work. I want to see this like wider system radar, because I was already talking about in my Polaris, I would have a Terrapin, because I want to scout and see what the whole battlefield looks like, and then I could drop the Polaris right in there and be like, what's up? So
it's not a bad idea.
Super hyped about that, because they're always like, well, what would you bring? I'm like, well, I wouldn't bring a Super Hornet or a fighter, because I'm like, Does it really need a small fighter escort inside a Polaris? I don't think so. It needs a specialty ship to either scout, recon, or do something else, like out there on the field. That's what I think.
Or possibly a Herald.
A Herald, or I even thought about Cutlass Red. I mean, some of these ships would be great, you know, for like a recovery, because it could be search and rescue. All these aspects, it's a single thing. You want one thing that the ship doesn't do. You don't want to facilitate more of what it does.
Cutlass Red is too big. It can't be larger than a Saber. So I would probably say something like 2 of the Argos with their cargo pods replaced with those med pods that they have yet to release.
I also thought about you could make it like a prison ship because it has a brig in it. And they answered that in the Q&A. I was like, it's got a brig. I'm so excited it's got a brig. You could get an Avenger, right? Avenger with the whole like thing. You could transport like prisoners and batteries, like bring them in there. Then you put them in their cell and do all that. Like, yeah.
And prisoner transfer would be a perfect opportunity for the player who got captured to try and make an escape attempt.
And then they could go to the armory that's inside there and try to take the ship back. That would be so cool gameplay if you could like bust out and do that. It is. It's so cool. And it's like, oh my gosh. I get too excited about it. All right. Anyway.
I got you, dude.
Yeah, so lots of cool stuff there. I'm more curious, even though they had mercenary stuff already, since my org is a mercenary group, covert operations. What?
Yeah.
What is that? Tell me more about this plan for covert operations, maybe. Like, what kind of mechanics are those?
I saw that too. I was kind of hoping that this was their first attempt at dropping like intelligence and subterfuge, that aspect of the trade environment, because
so cool.
I don't think that trade, what comes in 3.0, is going to be anything in support of data-based produce. It's strictly going to be hard product like containers,
bananas,
liquor bottles, big bennies, maybe some ore, like raw materials, that sort of thing. But I think this is where they might possibly be doing the first attempts at data-based trade in the form of, hey, you know, I know this guy, he needs some help with something, go talk to him. And so then this guy drops you a little bit of intelligence, not only on your target, but the area in which your target is located. And that's maybe one of the ways in which you can expand the knowledge that you have in your Moby-Glass or on your star map. And I'm that's just me. I'm hoping that's the way they take it, but who knows?
Yeah,
I kind of hope we're taking bases or like, you know, infiltrating like a facility with like a whole bunch of like bros and just like taking down people like whole stealth style. And
that's a great point, because that could potentially be the start of the hacking system too.
Yeah, you have to break through the security of the base to dislodge the door. That way you can go in stealth wise instead of like, you know, guns loud. You're like all sneak in the base and 5-man, 6-man team, get in there, get the info, get out. That'd be awesome.
Because you know they have that stuff planned out. I mean, look at that silent takedown in the Planet demo. That was great.
Can't wait. So cool.
So this is where we get into what you talked about with not medical, but rescue. We have rescue and farming in 3.3. So I would imagine medical would have to come somewhere around this area, but I think their anticipation with medical is going to be so complex, because then you talk about elective surgeries and stuff like that, like arms and bionics and all that. That might be way out there. So, but the farming and rescue is going to be cool. But you know, the funny thing is, and some people pointed this out to me, they're like, oh, well, how are you going to farming if the Endeavor's not done? Planets?
Well, Nikki Batgirl and I were discussing that as the presentation was going by, and the only thing we could think of was that it would be some form of introduction on planet-side basis. Yeah.
I mean, but they do show the module floating out there, so they kind of shoot themselves in the foot on that. It's like,
right.
Endeavor?
Yeah. The fuck?
Yeah. I'm like,
didn't even think about that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think the rescue, I'm actually surprised the rescue comes this late in the thing. You would think with all the combat
this is one patch after the Cutlass Red. So it's not right.
I would just think everything, all that part would come a little sooner with the combat and stuff. It's like, you know, you'd think because homing beacons and stuff like that and all that jazz. But
there's so much. It's hard to say what they think is most important in terms of introduction into the game for the sake of the continued evolution.
Yeah.
But It is a good point, and it's pretty interesting because the Cutlass Red was in the last one, and now you've got Rescue, and Rescue is the foundation of medical. I mean, if nothing else, you're going to be doing basic triage. Like I said, pulling people off the battlefield, sticking an EpiPen in their neck, throwing them onto a bed, and making sure they get enough rest before they're sent back out. Exactly. It could be as simple as that. But if you look at the list, you've got the Karak finished. You've got the 890 jump following the 85X coming out. You've got the Banu Merchantman. These are all large-scale ships. One is a large-scale explorer. One is basically a nightclub on thrusters. You've got a traveling marketplace, and then you've got the Reliant with all of its variants. That's
which is really cool because if you think about it, I mean, I know it's like, oh, look at all this stuff in the Reliant, but the variants of the Reliant, that's the Mako, and that's the science vessel. That's some cool shit, actually, you know, because you got the camera system in there for all the beautiful, videoing and all that stuff and remote broadcast stuff. So for streamers, that's pretty cool there. Or if you know, you want to be the in-game news guy like INN and all that stuff, that's really neat stuff.
Iris is going to love it.
Yeah.
And it gets me thinking that there's a larger pattern that we're starting to see the deeper we go into this presentation. And we've got various forms of basic sciences coming into play where there's data support in the gameplay. And so it leaves me wondering, they did drop a picture of the Endeavor here. There's farming and there's rescue. Well, farming, as far as ships go, is 100% the Endeavor. Rescue, while not 100% the Endeavor, there's a variant of the Endeavor that is 100% medical focused. A lot of these sciences and the exploration, that's very much at the core of the Endeavor. So for all we know, very shortly after this, we may see the Endeavor or the first testbed for what will become the Endeavor and how it functions. But a lot of this stuff is coming together. So it's very interesting to start seeing that.
That's also another good point. You would want, before you released a modular ship, like we were talking about earlier, like the Endeavor, you'd want most of the modules to actually have their functionality tested and planned out. And farming would be a huge aspect of that. Some of the medical and rescue and all that stuff you would want, because those are huge pieces on a grander scale of what you're going to have in those. And I believe Condor in chat also mentioned that rescue also involves, from previous doc, the escape pods, right? So that might be a huge aspect we see pop into here too. Maybe our escape pods and all our ships finally start working, and it's about that rescue, recovery, and that sort of aspect. So that's a huge aspect as well.
Yeah.
So,
and I can say right now, I know that if an Endeavor owner finally got to walk the deck of their Endeavor and see all the different rooms, that they're going to want to interact with it in the same way that you step into a Mustang Beta and you want to start opening every single drawer. You could do that. There's a certain sense of functionality, and when you take it out for the first time, you want to be able to test out those various forms of functionality. You don't just want to have a shell that you can look at. Like, yes, we have the hangar module for that, but even in the hangar module, there's something that you can do inside that ship. And without having this stuff fleshed out, what are you going to do when you're walking through the decks of your Karak? What are you going to do when you're walking through the decks of your Merchantman? I mean, the Merchantman is a market. If you don't have trade and you don't have cargo and you don't have all that stuff in place already, why do you even want to have the Merchantman out there? There's nothing for you to do with it.
Well, that's much the issue we have now with the Starfarer, right? I mean, it's a cool ship, and I'm glad it was really the test of the first big ship, the next iteration of that to come out there. But it's so unused now because most of us have seen it a million times. People come out and piddle with it once in a while, but you don't see it widely used because there's no mechanics behind it that we can implement. You know, we can't.
Right. More often than not, they're only taking it out for the sake of using it as an alternative FPS level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it just makes a pretty boom when you're right inside of Korea.
Yeah,
because that happens all the time. I had the best little video of somebody when I was out EVAing outside Korea. They had their Starfarer and they were trying to kill me, and they got wedged between the things, and somebody EMP'd them with one of the Warlocks that's available, and they lost control. They ran to the station and it just exploded. I was like, EMP kill! It was epic. It was amazing. So I was like, that was so good because he couldn't control his big ass ship. I was like, that's amazing.
That's awesome.
So,
that's my favorite thing to do. Whenever people go to land, you pop the EMP and it's just
no control. They just bounce and explode and lose all their landing gear. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we jump into 4.0, and this is where we're gonna have jump points.
Crazy. This is so far ahead.
Insane. This is so far ahead, and with all the time schedules and stuff, and this is why I try to de-hype everybody. Don't be discouraged, but I'd be shocked to actually see this even implemented until the end of next year at the very earliest. Because, I mean, there's so much things we got to go through, but who knows?
But it's nice to see that it's still there, because this is what, almost 2 years since we saw the initial demo of Jump Point Flight.
Yeah.
And there's basically been no discussion of it whatsoever since that time. Yeah. So it's nice to see that not only are they still working on it, but it's actually on a schedule. They have it projected for a given point in time. Mm-hmm. Granted, they're not giving any dates or time frames other than 3.2, 3.3, 4.0, but it's still a timeline, and it's on that timeline.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to give, as a project manager for over 5 years, when you're lining out your project, you don't have to necessarily have specific dates until you're ready to engage the actual project. And Star Citizen literally makes me pull my hair out with all of it, because it's the way it's developed. It's not a linear project where you have dates and this is your achievable goal. Not from the outside part anyway. It's always one of those things that grows and expands and does things. But it does have a schedule as far as this is happening, then we want to do this, when these assets are available. So they just have to use a more, I guess, like a flow point type schedule system, right? As these assets become organically available. And what this happens when you're dealing with hundreds of artists in the company, and, know, your criteria for completion is, does Chris Roberts think it's good enough yet? Because I mean, you can't define a goal being finished if it's an opinion of one person that has to see it first. It's so hard.
Yeah, this is that roadmap. I mean, while again, no dates. Yeah. This is the road that they want to travel on. By these certain points, they want to have this. Who knows? I mean, maybe we'll see like a 3. They didn't show a 3.5, but a 4.0 is that horizon. Do we know if there might be a 3.5?
It seems like they're matching kind of what they did this year too, though, right? Like they've went here, and at some point, it's such a significant jump in the development. That's why it's a 4.0, because that's what Chris stated this time, right? We're supposed to be doing 2.7 for planets, but he's like, no, such a significant jump in development, you have to go to the next stage. Right. Same thing here. If they're at 3.3, if they need some more iterations, they'll probably go 3.4, 3.5, and all that. But otherwise, they're looking at, if it's time to bring in jump points, it's 4.0 time. So we'll see what happens with all that stuff.
But I do like that this is when they're officially dropping science and research, because being in the Stanton system, it's every solar planetary system owned by a different mega corporation. There really isn't anything to explore or discover. Yeah. So it'll be nice to test that out, like especially since in the previous patch they're stating that the Karak is supposed to drop, and the Karak is basically a jump point surfboard with all the appropriate sensors to read the waves and record it. So that alone would be a lot of fun to play with in terms of research aspect. I'm hoping that comes sooner rather than later.
Can I reference something in chat where Bozo says, did they mention what version the Redeemer is slated for? And we haven't seen any of that. Redeemer ain't happen, guys. I'm sorry. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it's a myth like the band.
Enjoy the hoplite.
The Redeemer will happen, and I plan on owning one. And the aspect with the whole Redeemer thing is they're waiting for that art asset to get available, because they did hire on one of the guys who worked on the team that made the original Redeemer, which was the Great Starship winner.
Actually, I think they hired 3 of them from the team.
They might have at this point. Yeah, so they're waiting for those one or more of those assets to become available to work on that, because it's just like what you saw in the ATV videos they were talking about today. Many of the team members they had working on both Squadron 42 to get it done and the Homestead demo. They were going back and forth trying to get this thing done. It was just like, no way.
I think part of it also is that it's a ship that was built by someone outside of the studio, and it's built with methods that are so far outside of even what the ship pipeline was at that time that it would take probably an entire rework in order to bring it into the pipeline and what the pipeline is today. So it's very difficult to figure out when and how and who specifically to pull as assets to work on that specific ship in order to bring it from basically ground zero up to snuff. And that's no small ship. I mean, it's only what, 3-4 man crew, something like that. It's very small, but it has to accommodate at least 12 to 16 players. So they have a lot that they have to try and figure out. And I think once they're able to get back to it, that thing is not only going to grow in size, but it's going to grow in capability, and it's going to be something quite impressive to see. I'm really looking forward to its integration, but don't expect it anytime soon.
No, it'll be a while. It's like, you know, I might just got a Polaris, but it's going to be a long time before I'll ever ride in it. You know, it's a long ways out. My God. So yeah, that's going to be a thing. Yeah, this was the shot of like some of the other planet services. I just wanted to illustrate that, like, you know, when we watched the demo, people are like, oh, they worked on this one planet and it's all going to look the same. I mean, it's just showing what they did just with just the little bit of time they had. They're like, they had them just quantum to another planet and kind of show like, boom, this is what's going on. And then obviously they ended with this, which me and Toy had a debate about which ship that was. I'm like, it's a freaking Idris. It's an Idris. So
it's an Idris.
Very end, when they faded to black. So pretty cool stuff. Lots of neat stuff we saw inside the whole presentation and all that. I'm super hyped about the roadmap. I was going to go through some of the gameplay demo. I don't know time-wise if that's even something we need to do. We've had a nice long conversation already on what we had, so we might just jump into some Q&A at this point and do that, and we'll save some of the other stuff for another day, because I don't feel like we're going to make everybody watch a 30-minute demo that we've
Let's do it. Let's do it live.
Live reactions. Moon hasn't seen it before, so he's got to have his live reaction to the whole thing.
We should set us to black silhouettes, and then we can have our own
like mystery.
Going.
We'll have the mystery science theater. We'll just be little heads at the bottom going, look at that. So yeah,
let's do it.
So guys, if you have questions, just hop over to the Discord, please, and put it in the questions section there. They're starting to fill up already. We'll get that going. I am going to go ahead and you guys still got about 45 minutes hour. You good for that, or?
Sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. Okay. Just making sure. So we are going to start this keyword raffle for you guys in chat, and this is for a $25 Star Citizen gift card. You're just gonna go ahead and make sure that's in there, and we're gonna go with the loyalty phrase of Citizen for Life right there. Everybody, as long as you're a follower of my channel, you'll be able to enter this. But to win it, you got to follow not only my channel, you have to follow Moon and Nighthawk, and you can get that through the Space Bros link inside the channel commands. We'll be pumping that up. Hopefully my mods aren't so asleep that they'll actually be able to help me out with that too. We'll get that guy out there to you guys. Make sure you're following everybody in channel to qualify for this. Everybody jump in. We'll set the clock for about 45 minutes, and we'll jump into your questions here. Again, please try to use the Discord questions section, and we'll dive into all that, and we'll see where we got there. So, yeah. Only a couple people so far. Just make sure you guys are putting them in there, because I've seen a lot of questions in chat. It just helps us over there, if it's there, because it has flown up so far I can't see them anymore. Stuff. So we will start out with one question that was in chat real quick that I saw. Covert Garden Martin asked, he said, "What do you guys? How do you guys think farming will work in game? Any hypothesis on how farming might actually work?"
I have one.
Sure.
Go ahead. Go. You can go ahead.
Okay, so I'm actually hoping that they kind of take a note from Farming Simulator. My cousin streams it a lot, and he loves the hell out of it. So I'm hoping that there's some immersive aspect to it, not unlike Farming Simulator, where it's very hands-on and you actually have to go through the whole seeding process and the watering process. And it's not necessarily sitting there and watching seeds sprout, but definitely, because it's supposed to be such an immersive world, I hope that they at least afford you the opportunity to do that if you want to. That would be good. I'm going to keep it short. Go ahead.
You don't think it would be like automated? I mean, it's like super in the future and like automation.
There's probably an option to do that, but like anything else, automated systems are probably going to end up costing you more, not only in setup but in running costs and maintenance. And even then, you still have to have someone to check on the systems because they're not self-repairing systems. I think that there are going to be a lot of players like my cousin out there who are going to want to actually go out into their biodome on their Endeavor or out onto their farmland planet side and actually work the field. I mean, I could even see Clifford trying to do that because he plays a lot of Farming Simulator too.
Yep, he plays that Mechanic Simulator too. He plays a lot of simulators
does he?
where it's hands-on. Yeah, I've seen him do that. Absolutely.
Yeah. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. I would be in Moon's wheelhouse where I would think it would be automated to some degree. Maybe you could do certain aspects, but anything that's automated, I would just want to do more of it, right? Like, if it's automated and it's real quick to manage, I'll take half a planet and farm it, or something like that. Right. Keep making it bigger and bigger till it is challenging for me. And that's what I've always done in games. It's like, if it's too simple and it's profitable, I'll just do it times 5,000 and make it really profitable. And, still it's simple. Let's see what else we got. All right, Bowers asked in Discord, he says, do you see the possibility of skipping 2.6 and jumping straight to 3.0 just because of how small 2.6 is compared to 3.0?
No, I don't think so.
No.
There are a lot of patches that we go through where they have no significant feature drops whatsoever. And it's very easy for us to miss how much is actually being dropped on the back end, because when you're not seeing a lot of feature coming down into the game in the moment, there's a lot going on the back end in terms of Mitauchi's favorite thing, the netcode. There's a lot of stuff going on where they're trying to update or better animations, or they're tweaking, like in 2.6, the flight model, or there's always something that they're adding in that is a foundational. That's not the right word. It's necessary that this patch go through before they move on to the next step, because if they skip over it or they try and integrate the two, they're just going to be causing more issues than there should be from the start.
Yeah, there are too many things where, this game. Okay, guys, if you're playing the drinking game, the iterative game, development,
fidelity.
Yeah. Yeah, oh man, they're getting drunk right now.
Yes, lighting is also Mitauchi's thing. That's true.
I thought that was going away. Nobody mentioned it in so long.
That's never going to go away. Did you see how they did a little cutout where they focused completely? I think it was INN. They had a whole little article with imagery on the atmospheric lighting, the particle work and everything for when you're flying through the atmosphere.
This lighting conversation. All right.
Sorry.
It's all good. I don't mind the lighting. I just hated how much this summer they focused whole ATVs on it. So lighting is necessary to see shit, guys. You have to. It displays how cool it is, but you don't need 40-minute episodes on lighting, which they corrected now, so they don't do that anymore. But no, I agree with the guys. There's no way they're going to skip it because of what's on the back end. And plus, you even see like what they have slated for 2.6. It's a apparently the alert system just came back on. And after everybody else went through, Stream Alerts has been all buggy all day long. Cool. Now, all the back end stuff that they need to do this, and plus, what if they feed us too much at once? And they've done this in the past. There's no way to tell what the issue is. There's no way for them to test it back. So if we get a PTU that's full of so many features, they're like, oh, well, we added all this stuff, but now when you try to get in your ship, it's 40 feet above the pad. Remember that? Like your ship's floating way up inside the sky.
I remember that.
And they had no idea what was causing that, but they had so many things.
You had to approach at just the right angle, or it would.
They had to go back and peel all these layers to figure out what was causing it. Because if you add too many features each build, that's what you end up with. You end up with these things where it's like, well, there's something wrong, and now we got to go through everything we changed in this entire patch for it. So yeah, they're not going to skip anything. They haven't in the past. I don't see them doing it in the future. All right. Maleficio says, question: what do you guys think about jobs other than mining? Yeah, he wants to know what do you think about our jobs in general. Let me refine his question. Is there a specific job that you're interested in other than mining, and why are you interested in it? Within the profession sets. Moon, go.
I want to do transport. I want to move one thing from another. Just taking mission, not just like a mission, but like if you can take a contract with somebody or, moving big shit. Who can't wait to do that? I mean, like we're kind of like all digging into being a space trucker.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. I mean, I don't know. You're doing planetary landing from one place to another, and it's gonna be exciting. You even make tons of money. You go buy cool shit. Go buy
cornerstone
guns
of the universe. You have to do it, right?
Yeah.
To move stuff. Yeah. Stuff isn't gonna beam places. It's not Star Trek. So there you go. Nighthawk, how about you?
Okay. Man, it's a long list for me. Basically, it's exploration overall, but I'm interested in a lot of the various aspects therein. I like the idea of doing the stellar cartography and trying to chart new routes through space or discovering new jump points, hence the Karak. I'm really interested in what the medical professions have to offer and how those are going to play out in an immersive nature. But I think what I'm absolutely most excited about is getting into xenocultural studies, xenobiology, xenolinguistics, really figuring out how to develop diplomatic relations between humanity and other races, like the Zhan, for example. I'm really interested in them, so I want to take a lot of my science vessels and try and figure out how to connect with them.
That's cool. Well, that kind of answers the second part of his question. He says, what do you guys think about exploration and its impact? So you kind of already dove into that to a certain aspect there. Was there anything you want to expand on that, or Moon? Anything with exploration, you guys?
I kind of touched on it earlier as well when I was talking about data as an aspect of trade and consumer products. Once research comes into play in the larger concept of what it's supposed to be, that's when you're going to be able to start taking the stuff that you're researching, discovering, analyzing, and turn it into revenue. And that's going to be really interesting because it's, I think, going to have a very strong impact on the economy in ways that a lot of us haven't seen before in video games, because usually you just fly from one station to another and you talk to the right person and the data just automatically transfers, whereas in Star Citizen you have to go out, collect the data, analyze the data, process it like you would ore into something refined and usable, and then you actually have to transport it from the location it was found to the location where it's going to be traded. So it's a lot more immersive.
So.
What kind of exploration ships do you both have? That's one thing I feel like I'm super short on. It's like a ship I don't have yet. What do you guys have?
Let's see here. I'm going to go through my list.
No, I don't have a Carrack, actually.
LX, Reliant Sen, Freelancer Dur, Karak, and Endeavor Hope.
Damn. Okay.
I think I'm lacking on the exploration too. I think I have the Caterpillar instead of the Carrack. So I'm probably more on the fighters and hauler side stuff, all the combat type stuff. I do have a prospector, so I got my mining covered in that aspect. But yeah, I don't think I have anything exploration. Well, I think the only thing I could say is more info management. I have a Herald, but it's not really exploration.
Okay.
So, that's good.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, let's jump on to what Gil's got here. Next question says, with the Reclaimer on the roadmap, what fantasy do you have for the Claw, and what kind of thing would you like to mount in its place?
Have you ever seen like the original Transformers, the animated movie with like Unicron?
Yeah.
Just like, eating things and crunching them up. I just get this like idea, and I'm like, oh, that's so fucking cool. I'm sorry to curse, but it's so fucking cool, man. I can't wait. I think it's gonna be such a sick ship.
So I want to see the claw in action on a ship that's still occupied, because I actually want to watch the crew attempt to escape this ship as it's being eaten alive.
That would be cool.
And possibly
What the fuck do you do?
Even be one of the crew members streaming it live, going, "Get the fuck out!"
The rope's coming down on you.
Literally, what are you going to do?
My question is, if you did
rescue's
that,
not going to be in yet. I don't think you're going to have the escape pods.
Well, even if you did that, if it's crushing it, would it make the ship explode because it's not technically a derelict yet? Because they pop at a certain point of.
That's a good question.
Well, what if it's like decompressed?
Well, if it's decompressed, you have crew. But in his scenario, it's like if the crew's trying to get out and they're all in there, I'd like to see what happens when he gets it. Does it just pop and he holds on the hole? Does it blow the claw off the end of the thing? Does it blow his ship up when he tries to eat it? Like, what happens?
That's a really good question.
Unicron deals with that. He deals with a ship that explodes in its mouth and just continues eating it. Doesn't give a fuck.
That's just Unicron, though, and it's like,
Unicron.
I think that's where
it's a reclaimer.
The sensor officer is going to come into play, and I think that's where familiarity with other ships and locations of both components and piping is really going to come into play. Yeah. Because if you are going after a live ship and you cut into an area where there is an active component, most likely you're going to damage your claw. If you're cutting into an area where it's, say, just piping from a component to its end location, then you're probably just cutting off power. You might see some sparks and you might see some small fire and smoke before space cuts it out. But I think that's where the precision gameplay is really going to come in. And that's going to be a lot of fun to watch and see, because they expect the same thing of you with mining. If you're not constantly scanning, then you're going to mine into the wrong location. You're going to mine into a pocket of gas. You're going to break the asteroid. Something's going to happen, and it's going to negatively affect you. Yeah.
Be like Armageddon, right? Blows the entire ship off the whole rock and stuff. Be interesting. All right, so then Thrasas, he says, you guys seem to agree that more specialized ships are the way a majority of the lineup will be going. Is this something that you see pushing up the requirements for multiplayer interaction? Wondering what you think CIG's position on being more of a single player with the AI crew more than 80% of the time, encouraged or discouraged? That's a really good question, actually.
That's a really good question.
I feel like, just to kind of like reiterate, like, there's like a whole bunch of ships I don't have specialized ships for exploration, ships I don't have for mining. These are things I want to do in game. I need to like crew with people. It's like, I mean, if you're a guy who has everything but you're not that social, I'm pretty social. I have like I got friends who have cool ships. I'm gonna fly with you guys. It's like, so like, I don't know. I don't have that kind of stuff. So I have to do multi-crew. I have to play with my friends because I don't have that kind of cool stuff. And I'm not going to play anymore.
I think the aspect from all the language that CIG's more recently used, while they'll never tell anybody outright, no, we're not making it so you can play by yourself, they encourage multiplayer. That's what they want you to do. But they want to enable you, if you make that choice to play by yourself, you can. But you're going to have a more fulfilled game as multiplayer. So I definitely think the game is curved that way. It's an MMO, for God's sake. It's not a simulator like that. And we know a lot of people want to play just themselves with AI. But even the steps that Tony Z said earlier this summer, where people were originally thinking, I'll buy a bunch of ships and just AI crew them and let them run for me. He said, no way. The AI crew is an extension of yourself. So even if you think of yourself, I want to be on my own ship with just my AI, that's fine. But if you're wanting to do some of these tasks like mining and stuff, you're still probably going to have to work with other people, because outside your own crew, it's a team of ships, right?
Yep.
If I'm in a prospector, I can mine, but I need somebody to haul it. I need everything to make it most efficient of any role is going to require more personnel. And even if you could hire more AI, you can't control them. So,
and Chris has been saying it from the start, that the AI is never going to be as good as having another player supporting you in whatever mission it is you happen to be taking on, because yes, the player may cost more in terms of a paycheck, but you're going to get a lot more product and a lot more profit from what they're able to do for you versus, say, the NPC, which is restricted to some form of skill tree and skill set, and they may not be appropriately effective in what you need them to do, and you have to take the time to level them up, and that costs money because you have to pay them the whole way through, and while you're paying them, they're just not performing, and you're not building the revenue that's going to support your ship, so you're running a risk of eventually not being able to fly anymore.
Well, and on top of that, like, players might be cheaper. I mean, if they're my friends and they're helping me do something, they might not cost anything, you know what I mean? But the AI will cost you money no matter what you do. So, you know, for efficiency standards and stuff, you really need to think about the aspects of this. Now, I realize a lot of people will have different aspects. My wife is one of the people, she doesn't mind playing with people, but she plays MMOs and she likes to play them completely by herself. She'll group for raid bosses and stuff just for that instance to do that. But that's her preferred play style, you know? And I think that's the method they're trying to go with this. They're trying to accommodate some of those, right?
Yeah.
But they're not going to build the game around that dynamic. It's just not, it's not feasible, and people spend more money when they're having fun with their friends. It's like, you'll find anytime, like, if I went to the bar with my bros, I'm going to drop a lot more cash than I went to the bar by myself. So that's just the thing. It's just more enjoyable. So
that's the payoff. I'm going to be an incredibly stingy captain, and all my friends who know it, they know it. I'm not going to pay out a lot. I'm guard. You know, most of the loot goes to the captain.
There you go.
Get some beers.
So it's that 90-10 cut. You know, it's all good all day.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but yeah, absolutely. I think those are things, and I don't think they don't want to use the language to discourage you from playing single player, but at the same time, it is definitely an encourage to multiplayer.
Yeah.
Yep.
The true Star Citizen experience is in the multi-crew. So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Sindane says, given that 2.6 update is asset light, do you think that progress, this is kind of like what was asked earlier, do you think that progress on 3.0 development is running parallel, or could possibly be nearing testing phase shortly after 2.6 drops? That I would agree with. Absolutely, 110%. I think that it's different dynamics they're required for each. And I think they have teams allocated. And I honestly think 2.6, as far as what they've done outside of testing and tweaking, is done. 2.6 is way done as far as the module goes. They're probably making adjustments and tweaking it. But as a whole, as a build, they've already outlined exactly what we're getting, what maps we're getting that are done, the assets are done, and they're probably just making small adjustments.
Yeah.
So
I would wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah. Next question. Go ahead, Moon, if you had something to add.
No, I was just going to say that you're right. I mean, what they have set up is what's ready to go. It's you know, it's good to go. 3.0, like, everything is being worked on in the future and stuff like that, but what they have for 2.6 is steady and ready to go. So, yeah.
And the most important thing about that, to me, is 2.6 should not require any of the netcode update. So it's not really contingent on 3.0 or vice versa, because since they're separate modules, just like Arena Commander, that run on their own isolated thing, you have the 12v12 or the 4v4. They don't have to have the netcode to probably do that. It'd help, I'm sure, across the board, but they don't have to have it for those, because the netcode is really more directed towards the persistent universe than it is any of the modules.
Right.
All right, couple more questions, guys. We got about 24 minutes left on this. We might shorten it up a little bit. If you haven't entered the raffle for the $25 gift card, please do so. If you need instructions on how to do it, hit !raffle space help, and it'll tell you all about the giveaway. Let's see. We had Penchico, which I'm sure I messed up your whole name there. Sorry about that. Do you think there are going to make turret gameplay more engaging? I find it hard to believe that in these large multi-crew ships, people want to man a turret. I would agree on multiple aspects of that, but it's more because the turrets don't track well or fire well right now is more of an issue. But I see what you're saying. They're asking the question about engagement, like, do you want to sit there and there's nothing else to do?
Well, I think that's also why they have options out there for alternative turrets, like the turret on the Vanguard Sentinel, where it's not a weapon-based turret, it's a sensor turret. It's
That's
a
true.
manned sensor turret, and you can point it in very specific directions, and it's a very strong sensor, but it's extremely focused into a very narrow focal angle, whereas the standard ship sensors just kind of go out in a bubble, like the ping that they showed a little while back. So there are going to be alternative uses for turrets, and Chris Roberts was actually asked a question very similar to this over and over again throughout the weekend. Anytime he showed up, people were asking, so what's going on with turrets? When are they going to be better usable? Why is it taking so long to work on it? And oh my God, I can't tell you how many times he kept saying, we're working on it, we're trying to make it better, we're trying to find the right balance, we know that it's needing love. So they're trying to figure out how to make turrets work properly.
Just steal Battlefield 1. I'm telling you, the planes in Battlefield 1 with their turrets, UK dude, sorry, I always say turrets, but that's it's my habit, so deal with it. When they actually pivot those, they track better. They still move with the pilot, but they seem to sit more in line with where you're aiming at, and the pilot's movement doesn't move it so abruptly. In other words, they almost have their own gyro, so to speak, unlike what a more modern day turret would have. So I'd like to see those, and you would think they'd have that type of aspect in these things in the future, right? Like, I could sit like this, and unless the ship actually occludes my target, I should be able to track and hold on that position. That's just, Otherwise, everything would be automated anyway, and it wouldn't be fun. But yeah, I definitely see that. Go ahead.
Somebody just said in chat, like, you really wouldn't be sitting in the turret the entire time. I mean, hopefully there's other things on board that you can kind of, like, play with and stuff like that. Things to, like, will take up your time.
I look at it like the Millennium Falcon, right, in Star Wars. There's nobody sitting in them. They're there. It's like, oh, shit, shit's cocky, going down. Go run over there and, go run in, and everybody's running to them and getting them and doing all that.
Yeah. So. The Vanguard is still the perfect example of that in game, because it has that manned turret, but it's got the crew station right there in the main life pod. Yeah. So that is actually the second crewman's official position, is down inside that life pod, monitoring whatever systems, if it's an engineering station, if it's a science station, if it's a missile loading machine, whatever the case may be, there is a dedicated station for you there, and that's tertiary position. You don't worry about the turret unless you absolutely have to.
Yeah, or if you already know you're going into a combat situation, maybe you get in there ahead of time. But
right.
Defensively,
but
you're
then,
not going to sit there all day.
But then you're also going to hire out crew, and you're going to have someone dedicated to either sit in that gunner's turret the entire time like they used to do in World War II, or they're going to be switching between the turret and doing whatever the rotation is, half hour in the turret, and then they go and they patrol the back door to make sure that nobody boards unexpectedly. So who knows? There are so many options and so many ways to play it out.
And even with real people, everybody's going to want some time on different types of equipment, because if something happens and somebody dies on the ship or something, it's like, I'm running comms or scanning. I want everybody to rotate that and do that. So, you'd have different positions and kind of get some time on every aspect of the ship, so everybody knows it backward and forward. Because I look forward to the aspect when you're in a fight and, like, stuff internally blows up. This comm goes out or something, and it kills the comm officer. Well, we repaired it, but we got to get a new comm officer on that. It's like somebody's picking up the positions on the fly. And to be honest, my NPC crew, I would probably have sitting more of the turrets than anybody else, because I want my guys, I want a physical person repairing the ship. Like, get over to the hallway, and they're doing the work, and they're making sure it's getting done. Those things are more just automated to shoot stuff. So until they improve them, I don't think a player is going to bring that much more to the table than an AI guy would for those. Because it's like, hey, look, I'm missing. Great. That's what Moonshiners was doing all morning, too. So you're both on the same page. Yeah, it's great. So
for real, man.
It's perfect. Let's see. What do we have next? Lead speak. I'm totally terrible with it. I'm going to say it's zero. How about X3RO13? 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13. 13 Robot serial code. Question: what do you think of the new series of what? Where do you think the new series of TNGs went?
Oh, because they were supposed to do season 2 of TNGS this summer,
Well,
supposedly.
they also rumored about doing the armor one too, didn't they? Like there were one.
Yeah,
point
that was supposed to be series 2. So they were supposed to design something to do. I think it was a helmet,
Yeah.
like a Star Marine helmet, for entry, and then the actual competition was going to be one of those. What do they call them? Titan mechs or whatever.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I don't actually know what happened with that. I was really looking forward to it because I really enjoyed the first TNGS. And I know that Anarchos was really working on his ZBrush modeling because he wanted to get involved in that. So
You know what I think happened to it? Planets. Because that was all being talked about before the procedural planets came out. And I think once planets came out, they're like, oh shit, we got more work to do. It's like, no, we got to build all these planets. You can land on them and do crazy shit. So
right. Do we put our money into a TNGS or do we put it into development?
Yeah. And I think it's just artists and time and effort and all that stuff. And I think so much more was unlocked tech-wise around that time when they were talking about rolling that out. That it's all hands on deck. I mean, look how much the offices blew up after that. Like, oh, we need more people and all that stuff. I really think that they, and I hate to say it like this, but I think they found their footing in like more people this year alone on their team see the vision of where they're going with it. They see the plans, they see all the stuff. They're like, okay, this is the game because you have tangible stuff. Now, not only do you have some spaceships, you have the stations coming online. You have planet side stuff, all this, and they can see once you're, as an artist, you can visualize what's happening, then you can create so much more. And I think that's what's happened with the game. And I think the helmet seemed like a small precursory side thing compared to like all the stuff that's been unlocked in the last year and a half.
Well, yeah, it's such a small tertiary thing. I mean, like, there are 363 employees right now. I was talking to one of the dudes, and they're at, like, such a good spot right now where all the artists, all the designers are like the top of their field and they feel very good with it. I mean, maybe it's just not something that's all that important to put a TV show or a weekly series on behind it.
Yeah.
It's just important just to continue popping out this really good shit.
But I think that it also is a reflection of what we were talking about earlier. What's going on with the Redeemer? That's the child born from TNGS Series 1. Yeah. And I'm sure that there's some aspect of them that's probably afraid, well, if we go and do TNGS Series 2, how do we explain to the contestants that they have to work to this standard of workflow in order to be able to integrate their final product into the game? God dang, where did my English go today? Into the game, should they actually be chosen as the winner? Because how many people want their Redeemer? And the Redeemer sits in the hangar, and you can't really do anything with it, and it's not flyable, and it's there, but it's not there. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure they don't know how to manage that in a way that would allow for better integration.
Well, and the other challenge with Redeemer is, like, even though it was chosen as the winner, it does not set up to the design standard of what they have now for that type of ship. Because people call it a gunship. I call it a dropship still. Its original intention is to be this hybrid gunship dropship. But you go in it, it's got a freaking kitchen. It's got a little, I mean, it needs to be a lot like what the Hoplite's going to be. It's probably going to be re-gutted, widened out, and have a row of seats in there with the big-ass guns. And that's what it should be to suppress ground targets in the end.
Yeah.
And how does it win on design, and then you have to go back there and redo the whole design? The only real thing that softens that blow for them is the fact that people who originally designed it now work for them, so now they can just hey, you guys are redesigning your win, so there you go.
Yeah.
So that's pretty
Plus, it was also built out before they finalized on the look of Aegis as a manufacturer. So I'm sure, like, I don't know about you guys, but I don't recall reading anything in the lore about these manufacturers who create the mecha that we're eventually going to be able to play with. So how can we build mecha for companies we know nothing about? We don't know what their aesthetic is. We don't know what their history is. We don't know what their end goal is with their product. So there's, I think, a lot that still needs to be fleshed out before they can not only introduce the concept to the community, but have the community introduce their concepts back to CIG.
Absolutely.
Right.
And you're starting to see that in some of the newer like little concept drawings I've seen from the community, just throwing stuff out there. They're now taking the shape language and stuff of now that there's palettes developed. Now the community has something to work with. Because when they did the Redeemer and everything, it's like, hey guys, just make a really awesome spaceship. I mean, they didn't have these palettes to work from, so that's why the Redeemer looks the way it does. It's an awesome ship, but it doesn't fit into any category of what's available out there because there was no categories. It was like the name, and that's it.
Back then, we had what to represent Aegis besides the Avenger and I think maybe the Retaliator.
Was the Retaliator even out?
That's what I'm trying to remember right now. I don't think so. I think it came out maybe right after.
Concept,
but
maybe in concept. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
So there was very, very little for them to go off of.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. All right.
What else we got?
Let's see. Got about 13 minutes left. We can knock out a few more. Question: what do you think? How do you think grabbing cargo in EVA will go? Will there be a hover lifts or what? Well, I absolutely think there'll be hover lifts for grabbing.
Yeah, and they've actually already shown us some hover style forklifts in concept, and then I think they had one in the hangar for a very short time as just like a static piece of decoration. But there is plan for small scale things of that nature, like these little hover forklifts, but they're also going to allow you to pick them up one crate at a time and move it into position. And I'm pretty sure that because you're in 0G, you're going to grab it from here, you're going to move your location and just push it off and just let 0G take it into the gravity well of the ship.
So you're saying it's not going to be like the Big Bennies where I just push my face at it a whole bunch of times until it finally like maneuvers the way I want it, then I have to shoot at it with my pistol. That's the way it's not going to be. It's not going to be
hopefully
like that.
Eventually it'll get to that point. Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. All right. Your way sounds a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. And that'll be carried over also to like ground. If it's crashed on a planet and you're trying to salvage things out, they have those skids like what Nighthawk was talking about where it'll hover up. And I think some of the larger containers might even have it fixed to it. Like it self lifts on itself.
Oh yeah,
some of the big ones, the big crates.
That's right. They had concept art I think like 2 years ago, and it was like an electronic forklift handle, but it was just the handle, and you actually attach it to the larger cargo compartments because the cargo compartments actually have the hover pads built into them, and so that actually links up with the onboard systems inside the compartment, and then you just control it right there on the little handlebars. I don't know if they're actually going to implement that, but that was an earlier concept.
Yep, like Star Wars. That's right. That's exactly what I was thinking of. Okay. Let's see. You think Squadron 42 will have unrestricted time between missions to explore our home, the ship, or will we be limited to having a report to a briefing?
You got a mission. You got to do that on time. You can't be like dilly-dallying. You have like a certain amount of time to do that.
Even if they don't have a time stamp, I mean, it's going to probably be, they're all story-driven. So I think once you talk to certain parties on the ship, it'll progress you forward regardless. Like you go into a room, you're not going to be able to go back out of that room, so you'd go on to the next thing. Like typical story-driven missions. You might be able to sit there and wonder, but you get really bored sitting in the hallway. And I don't think the game would care because you're playing by yourself. So you could stand there all day, I guess. But if the minute you talk to the next person, go to the next room, it'll probably have some natural driven forward. Because I hate timers on stuff because I have to get up for kids and stuff, and I hate always having to pause. Sometimes it's nice to just sit there.
Yeah.
But who knows? We'll see on that. But that'd be the way I think it would work. Let's see. Jay Corin says CIG has mentioned you were allowed to walk about on your. I guess that's what answering mayonnaise too. You were allowed to walk about on your home ship to interact. Wow, my whole board just went red. God, somebody's like asked a big question in chat.
I saw that.
Yeah, I was like, well, highlights red.
Wall of text.
Flag to me. It's like, what just happened? And it pinned it to mine. you'll be able to walk unrestricted with the career board. So there you go. You'll be able to piddle around and all that stuff. Let's address the big red questions so I can remove them from my chat in a second. So, Mitauchi, so I have a question. It's been bugging me. I've tried to solve this issue multiple different ways. I am having an issue with, I think, the network freezing on the game or my connection messing up. I'm not sure. And then I'm in game for about 5 minutes of play and can't use the function button on my friend's body. Sits one spot. Leads me to believe there's something to do with the network. Yeah, there's server issues.
Yes.
Yeah, sounds like
Yes, there are
server
many
issue.
networking issues right now.
Welcome to the alpha, my friend.
Get used to it, man.
Get used to it. Buy some more RAM.
2.6 is coming. Hopefully it fixes it.
Yeah. There's a huge memory leak going on, too. So after everybody dies, it's not releasing the information. So if you kill a lot of people or die a lot, enjoy resetting quite often.
Yeah, new server, move down.
Yep, constantly. So, in addition to that, usually it's not your hardware, but make sure you have the minimum of 8 gigs or more RAM, preferably an i5, i7 processor or equivalent, and I'd say at least a 700, 800 series graphics card. And that's if you're setting it on lower settings. But yeah, it's
That's not true.
So
I run it on all the highest settings on just one 780.
Mm-hmm.
I used to have a 780. Then I got a 1070.
But then you grew up.
Never look back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So great.
I hate you
Absolutely.
right now.
You ask questions inside my Discord chat under questions. You ask questions. My command thing's not working right now. It's broken. Let's see, what was the next one here? We got about 6 minutes left. Speaking of comms, what do you think's how do you think that's going to work? What will a comm officer do? Will they establish comms between ships or what?
Generally speaking, comm officers tend to be in charge of ship-to-ship communications, internal ship communications, and just they're like the old switchboard operators back in the day. They literally, that's all they do. They make sure the communications are functioning at all times, and all teams are communicating where they need to communicate.
You are the Lieutenant O'Hara of the ship.
Yeah, basically.
Yep.
I'm really excited to see like what happens with Spectrum when we get to use different kind of like voice comms. You know, sometimes you're just going to want to turn it off because I'm here to pirate you. And it's like, oh, these little squeakers, man. Get out of here.
My favorite's going to be when you get hailed and you answer it, and then it's like music. Like a troll song over it. It's like, God damn it. Fire all guns. Just hit them repeatedly in the face. You know, that's going to happen. You know it will. It happens in every game.
Really interested in seeing how that integrates with the gameplay because like part of that whole Spectrum thing is being able to post where your party members are in game, even if you're not in game, and that's party tracking. And with the integration of the Caterpillar, it's going to have that in the heads-up display, like the shipboard heads-up displays. You're going to be able to know the locations of the other players in your crew aboard the ship at any given time. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see that level of integration and communications in various formats. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, that's going to be really neat. Zinowin asks, do you think the latest video from CIG will help settle everyone's concerns out there? More importantly, what do you think there was anything else that could have been done after CitizenCon to help people understand the difficulties they had and the decision they made?
No, that's my simple answer. No. Because you're never going to be able to please everybody. It doesn't matter how hard you try. You're never going to be able to please everybody. So I think that addressing it in the manner that they did expresses their stance in a very clear and concise manner where I feel it can be understood by pretty much everyone. I think those who choose not to understand it are just carrying a bag of salt.
Mm-hmm. You might say for like the initiated, or for like those of us who are like who watch, who watch like Reverse the Verse, but like to like maybe to like the general media. I mean, this kind of blew up itself. You know, there was a whole bunch of videos that came out. It's like Star Citizen has been delayed, or Squadron 42 has been delayed indefinitely. So it's like to the uninitiated, this probably will not be heard. If you're a follower of Star Citizen, you check out their weekly information. You're like, okay, this makes a lot of sense. But a lot of people in the world, like you said, I mean, this. So I guess I thought maybe it would fix a lot of things. But you're right, to people in the general public, we're just kind of like looking at it in a very offhanded way. Won't have like watched Run the Verse today.
They already came in with the same issues that they left with, if they already had issues. For people like me, where it did, I won't say it made me concerned. It made me disappointed, like I said. I still believe in the game, and, even at that moment and stuff, when I was disappointed, still believe in the game. Know for a fact to be completed. It's just a matter of time and how long do I have to wait for it and all that stuff. Typical things of a backer, that we all feel inside different degrees of the game.
Yeah.
I feel that video was a very nice answer for that. Did it change anything? It changed my perception on how much it meant for them and how hard they were working on it, and that made me feel better about it. I'm still, I'm always going to be a little disappointed because it didn't happen, but yeah, it made me feel better. So yes, I think it did address that aspect for people who support the game. And that's the main audience it was meant for. Just like CitizenCon meant for backers. It's not really... Yes, the videos and stuff are a good marketing tool and advertisement, but it's a celebration of the people who were helping make the game happen. And that's the citizens, and that's the developers. And that's our party to do that. That's what it's about. So, I think that video was tailored right for the right people that it needed to address, and thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's see, what else? We got about just a minute left, so we got time for one more question.
You see Jokic? He said, "Screw Discord." He's asking his question here.
No, I just ignored Jokic. I don't do it.
I tried, man. I tried.
Right. Gears of War is 73 gigabytes in size and not nearly as complicated as Star Citizen. Do you see Star Citizen getting way over 150 gigabytes? If you talk about Squadron 42 and the Persistent Universe, I'd say absolutely, because I think Squadron 42 by itself will be like 73 plus gig on the PU.
It's going to be a big game.
It's going to be big.
I'm going to need another hard drive. I didn't even think about that. Fuck.
I mean, I know they're trying to figure out a way of minimizing the size of the package for Star Citizen. And I think one of the ways they're trying to do that is to keep a majority of the data server bound so that locally we just feed off of the server data.
Yeah.
But
that makes it harder to stream in too, though, so it just depends on how you do it. But like they said, if you've listened to like everything they've said in the past 3 weeks about the write codes and all that stuff, all the sizes of these packages are really small. They've got them down to so small for the animation delivery and stuff that it's really impressive, but it's still a huge amount of data. So
yeah,
I'd say 250. I think probably 100 gig download, and then probably with expansions and packs and all that stuff. I mean, I don't know. I think EVE Online was like, it got well over 100 with all the packs and stuff. I mean, they keep reducing it, rolling it back, but they'll keep optimizing it and stuff as it goes. But I bet it's a 100 gig game easy when it comes out. Then you'll have patches. And who knows? It's the patches.
I think it's going to be. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I think it's going to be over 9,000.
Over 9,000. Well, F
Could
this
be.
computer. It's time to build another one already. Sorry, February.
So expensive.
It's time for November. I'm just going to start naming my new builds by months because they happen the same year now. Can't call them the 2016 build anymore.
Right.
Oh, man.
I'm not in Discord, but did somebody transfer the one from Griff in chat? Griffin Gaming RPG? There's a question there.
Lots of questions now.
I missed it.
He said, question, is there a ship you'd make sure you have in game before the game launches, and what would it be?
A small ship. A small starter ship or equivalent. Because, and the reason I say this is not a troll. This is something even Ben Lesnick addressed on one of Nikki's previous episodes. A lot of people are buying and upgrading their ships and stuff as their backers over time, and they're forgetting the aspect you have to work your way up to using those ships in the game.
Yep.
You won't have the reputation or the money or whatever capability to utilize like a whole E at launch. So if you don't have the small ships, you're going to be finding that you're working on a crew or doing something that you don't own in order to build up the rep to be able to run that first SEU of cargo and then be able to go out. So don't forget the small ships, guys. I mean, if you sell everything to buy the mansion, you won't have a way to get there. That's just the way to go. So please don't forget about that. And I didn't even think about that till Ben said that. I was like, that's true. I know a lot of people have worked their way out of their small ship. It's like, I have a Banu. And I'm like, you have a game package and a Banu? You upgraded your starter package to a Banu over time. All right. Well, that's great. I don't know what you're going to run your first mission in because I don't think you'll have enough gas money to run that one SEU package with your Banu merchant van. Crazy.
Yeah. That wouldn't be worth it.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So we're going to flip over here and we're going to get this raffle drawn and do all this jazz real quick. I know you got a lot more questions and I appreciate them. We do this every Friday at 10:30 p.m. CST, so be sure to come back and watch. But we're going to get this thing wrapped up and then we're probably going to do, I don't know if I'm going to do an after show tonight. It's already pretty late. And for those of you who don't know, the chat helped pay for my kids and myself, my wife, to go to Renaissance Festival this weekend. So we'll be tweeting about that. First time my kids have ever gone. And my son's a huge like dragon and knights freakazoid. So he's probably just going to go there, have a seizure, and I'll have to take him right to the hospital because he'll be like, oh my God.
Make sure you dress him up.
Yeah.
Is it a SCA like medieval event? It is SCA.
I think it is SCA.
I was in the SCA.
Oh, wow.
I have done run fairs. I have fought with rattan bats. I have done it. I've done it all.
That's
shit's
awesome.
crazy.
Yeah, they got full armor. They do the jousting sets too. The other group comes in and does jousting.
The jousting shit's kind of scary. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah. But that's a separate company that comes in and does that. But they have the collective group from Kansas City and the surrounding area and stuff that come in and they do the competitive fighting and stuff like that with all that. So it's pretty neat. It's pretty cool to watch. So we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're probably going to wrap it up for tonight, but we are going to have several special giveaways through the weekend. I'll be back tomorrow night to do a super special episode where I'll show you stuff from Renfest for the guys that didn't follow on Twitter because they say they just don't follow Twitter. Just come on, guys, follow Twitter. And we'll be doing all that special episode tomorrow. Then we'll have our full stream Sunday and all that stuff. And then these guys, what do you guys got planned for the weekend? What's up? You gonna be doing streaming? You gonna be gaming? What's going on with you guys?
Go with this guy first.
Oh,
Moon always wants everybody else to go before.
I'll go last.
You know? He's,
all right.
He likes to be an anchor.
So I'm hoping to get some streaming in, but I've been spending a lot of time with family. The baby hawk's growing up, and she's really getting to a stage where she's very interactive. So I'm trying to put in a lot of the time and attention, make her feel like she's loved, because she is.
Yep.
Work is also taking up a lot of time. I just got cross-trained into a new position on one of our roller coasters, and it is extremely understaffed. So I've been pulling 6-day work weeks, 50+ hours a week. It's just been tough to try and keep up with some of the Star Citizen stuff. So if I can, I'll try and stream this weekend, but I will be at work Saturday and Sunday.
Very cool.
Mr. Moon?
Yeah, I'll be streaming tomorrow, doing the same thing we do every day. I got the my podcast on Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, the Moon-based podcast with a very special guest, Mr. Paul Shelley. Dude, I drank so many beers with that dude.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Pretty hard with Astro Pub. We're just
like
gonna
the type of guy you want to have with you when you're drinking, because he was mixing and pouring.
I saw him in action. In action as a bartender. It was pretty fucking great. He made me drink with energy drinks and like tequila and.
Oh wow! We're gonna
delicious.
Keep him up and make him fun.
Got wasted, but yeah, we're doing what we do.
Oh, that's gonna be awesome. All right, well, guys, let's go ahead and we're gonna get set up for this poll real quick. So, I got all my buttons are working. The whole stream didn't take a poop. Go button, actuate button, something like that.
Oh,
nope, missed it. Oh, up,
oh,
Oh, yeah, it works. There it is.
There it is.
Yep. Sorry, I didn't have it set up for all three of us and the raffle window, but we'll be back to everybody in a second. So, guys, here's how it works. You have to make sure that, number one, you're following my channel, and number 2 and 3, that you're following both Nighthawk and Moonshiners. And if you guys haven't done that yet, get an ! Space Bros in chat. We've updated the whole thing. It's right there. Make sure you go over there and quickly, please follow them, because you have to be in all 3 channels in order to qualify for
Just
this
give me
25.
follows. I need your attention, please.
There it is. That's why we have to bury him off the screen, too, because he's tension whore. It happens.
I
Anyway.
am intentionally.
So what we're going to do is we're going to pull this raffle. There will be a claim word involved. So you will have to utilize the claim word in order to actually win the raffle. Because unlike some of our friends over RSI and CIG, we actually like to make sure you're not a robot and that you're winning
Beep,
stuff.
beep.
There you go. Robots only allowed. So we'll pull
How
this
many
thing.
bots won shit over this weekend? What the fuck?
Oh my god, who knows?
So many bots. I kept looking at the winners. I'm like, who's that? I've never seen that guy
I
before.
That's because everybody else was at CitizenCon.
I was waiting for Disco and everybody else to read off the names and sit there and go, "Hey, congratulations, 1-2131211AZDED." Like, what? Okay, I can think that.
I think that's pronounced Chris.
Yeah, exactly, or Fred. One of the two. No, but my favorite part was when everybody streaming. And I was watching. I think it was Gamble, and everybody was streaming over there with CIG, and then Disco says, "Well, it looked like we hit our number, but some of you very industrious Star Citizens decided to inflate our numbers because it went up to like 11,000, and then whenever Twitch re-cleared the queue, it went back down to like 7. It was like, oh yeah, just 4,000 extra people just showed up. Whatever. There's my bots. I love you guys. You guys are awesome.
Robots. Beep, 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 beep.
Robots. We got a whole emote I'm working on that and a little thing, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
Robots. Because we love bots over here. God. People are so mean to me. Let's see. Where was my keyword thingy? Let's make a new one real quick. The keyword will be...
I can't see it.
Don't say it, though. You'll see it in a second.
Oh.
No, but nobody say it. If you
Don't say it out loud, or you lose.
If you say it in chat or anything like that, you will be removed from chat. This will be the claim word that you have to use. Now, obviously, if you're a sub, you won't have to necessarily use the word in my channel, but you will still have to be a follower of all of them. It doesn't matter if you're a sub here or not, because it's all the guests always have to qualify for that. So there you go. There was a keyword. If you missed it, you weren't paying attention to the show, that's your bad, not mine. Closing raffle. Get ready. Drawing the thing.
Who's win?
Oh, looks like Wondering Paws. And he is a
Nice.
subscriber. Check Wondering Paws with you guys.
There they are.
You see him?
Yep.
Sweet.
Hold on. Let's see.
Oh.
Deltron.
Moon's looking desperately.
I'm there. I see him. I see him.
Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, Wondering Paws,
Wandering
congratulations.
Paws.
Congratulations on your $25 Star Citizen gift card, and thank you for being a Space Bro, as well as a follower to both my good friends here. All that stuff. We are still waiting to hear back on that. It has been almost, Monday would be 7 business days, so we'll hear back on that hopefully by then, Thrace. Because we filed for partnership last Thursday.
Ooh.
And I don't know. I'm hopeful. We'll see what happens because they've always given me a message back within 24 hours, and now it's been almost a week, so we'll see. See, I had to go back and check a couple times because I was like, did I actually file it? Because I haven't heard anything back. It's like, where's my rejection letter? I'm waiting. But either way, we'll get it all worked out. So again, Nighthawk, Moon, thank you guys so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. You guys are always awesome. You're always welcome back anytime. We'll make sure that we'll be doing these all the time. And Moon's always here, but Nighthawk, just let me know. And
I got nothing better to do.
So,
Absolutely. Anytime I have a Friday off, I'll try and be here.
I know how it is juggling family and everything else. So you're
Yeah.
you're at the stage I was several years ago. So it gets a little busier for you sometimes.
I'm leaning on your shoulder over here.
There you go. Don't knock your head
There
off
we go.
though. Your head might fall
I know.
Come over this way.
A
Come
little
over this
sore.
way. Nope, there we go. There he is.
off.
Oh, bro.
Put one of my arms up.
My bro over here.
Oh, there it is. All right, guys.
That was weird.
So it got really weird really quick. We are going to go ahead and head out, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time. Peace out, guys. Have a wonderful night.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
That was fun.
It was fun.
That was real fun.
It's always a good time.
Good job, gentlemen. Good job.
Good conversation.
That was like a real struggle.
Most fun I ever had with my shorts so long.
Oh, you have pants on?
No pants, just shorts.
Pants.
I knew I was missing something.